Okay, I'm Kathy Dredden with the Andrew Morgan team of Top Gun Property Realty. I'm here today with the property appraiser of Escambia County, Chris Jones. And thank you so much, Chris, for taking your time to be with us today. He's going to answer some questions for us and give us a little more information about where we are with the recent court rulings and the county commissioners' votes and all on Pensacola Beach. So, how did all this get started? And tell us where we are in a nutshell. Just kind of give us a brief history and a brief update.
Okay. Well, Kathy, thank you for having me, and glad to be here. This whole issue with and one of the judges called it a tortured history of the taxation issue on Pensacola Beach. It actually goes back, there are lawsuits going back into the 70s, early 70s. Fast forward to today, the latest round of issues on Pensacola Beach dealing with taxation occurred in Santa Rosa County. The property appraiser over there looked at some leases that they had in Navarre, felt that there was some question whether those leases were taxable or not, placed them on the tax roll, subsequently went through the court systems, and once the court ruled that yes, these types of leases, the improvements, were taxable. Once that occurred, I have an obligation to follow the law, whether it's statutory or case law, so we follow those cases. I'm obliged to do my duty. We placed the improvements on the tax roll on Pensacola Beach in 2004 after the appellate court had ruled. Fast forward, we were successful and the court upheld that. The taxes on the land were placed in Santa Rosa County on or about 2008.
Okay.
And Santa Rosa County was successful in that those leases were taxable. So Santa Rosa County were collecting taxes on building and land on Navarre Beach. I followed suit after that case came down, placed the leases and the land on the tax rolls on Pensacola Beach. The courts then ruled and said, okay, the language in the leases on Pensacola Beach, if it has to be a lease that says you get a 99-year lease with the option to renew for 99 more, however, that second 99 has to be renegotiated on the terms, value, price. That lease is not a perpetual lease and in fact should not be on the tax rolls. We disagreed with that respectfully. Subsequently went through the court systems, and the latest court case said, okay, you can't, underneath the condominiums, you're going to need to extract the land value of that portion that is attributable to land under condominiums. That's where we are today. We've reviewed 700 leases on Pensacola Beach. Everyone on Pensacola Beach pays taxes on their improvements.
Right.
According to the law. Those leases that are deemed perpetual by the language set out in the courts, Supreme Court, those folks pay property taxes on land and building. The ones that are deemed to be quote unquote non-perpetual or have the keywords that have to be renegotiated,
Right.
those leases, Kathy, do not pay taxes on the land portion of their assessment. So when you ask me where are we at today, we have about 30 lawsuits from all the condominium projects on Pensacola Beach. We are rapidly trying to negotiate those values. We've settled 5. We have 10 more in the hopper, if you will, that's been presented to their attorney. They've had for several weeks now. I guess they're reviewing. We have several more that we will be getting to them in the very near future. And we hope that we can avoid further litigation and then it's resolved and reasonable people can agree and we go forth and they have a settlement on how Pensacola Beach is going to look going into the future.
Explain a little bit about the renegotiable 99-year lease versus the perpetually renewable lease. I know you just touched on that. When a person buys a piece of property on Pensacola Beach, which a lot of our clients do, how do they know which lease they have?
If they're buying, and most properties on Pensacola Beach, that's probably the most expensive property we have in our community.
Mm-hmm.
It would probably behoove them in the situation they're in, if they want to know whether it's taxable or not. Certainly they can call our office and get our opinion. If they want further legal advice, I urge them to ask a good real estate attorney what their thoughts are. But we have coded those leases according to that, whether it's taxable or not. So they could call our office.
Okay.
We can explain that to them. Certainly when they sign or the lease is assigned to them, when they're at closing, they should read every document they're signing. And part of that would be that assignment of lease, and they need to look at the renewal language. That's the clause that it's carried in, is inside the renewal clause.
That is excellent information to have. And that's something good for realtors to know too, that we need to advise our clients.
Definitely. I mean, that's something that, and the uniqueness of the tax policy that we're, as a community, we're stuck with, and it's confusing. Look, it's confusing for me and my staff because we deal with it every day. But I can only imagine buyers, sellers, and realtors that's only a portion of your business. So I think there's strength in understanding that, and there's value, and I applaud you for trying to dig into this.
Well, and when I say we need to advise our clients, what I mean is we need to advise them to call you. Because we can certainly not advise them on that aspect of it. But so y'all are the ones that the property appraiser's office is the one to determine who gets the refund. Is that you, or is that the tax collector's office?
Good question. Property appraiser, our duties really are to appraise property, determine what's taxable, what's not, what's the value, and administer exemptions. We're in the process, as we spoke earlier, reviewing all these condominiums, extracting the land portion value out of the condominium value, and we're going to reissue tax bills based upon those changed values. How much someone paid originally, if they paid, the tax collector has all those records. So let's assume they paid only a portion of their taxes based on what they felt they should have paid. There may not be any refund due. If they paid all their taxes, then of course there may be due a refund. I wouldn't have those records. The tax collector does. So we issue the new values to the tax collector. He will reissue renewed bills.
Right.
Who gets that then is depends on who paid it. Was it a mortgage company? Was it individual? A lot of these properties, I mean, you sell properties out there all the time. It's a large turnover. It's it's a lot of vacation homes. So there's been some turnovers. And some of these lawsuits go back to 2011, so there could be
Right.
quite a bit of turnover. So the tax collector is going to have quite a job trying to figure it out. We have reached out to their attorney, and their attorney's been forthcoming trying to find out, since he's the one that they're his clients. Where are these people now? We can't find them. I mean, a lot of these are out-of-town owners, so how do we locate them? So that's some difficulties that the tax collector is going to run into.
It's not going to be an easy task
No,
for
ma'am.
anybody involved. So could they expect to see a change by November when the tax bill comes out, or will it be more into 2019?
We've made changes to all the condominiums according to what we feel the value should be, for the trim notices that just went out first part of August.
Mhm, okay.
So those
So that
values have been
reflects the
adjusted.
new- okay.
Yes, ma'am. That does reflect the extraction of land value. Now, whether that's accepted and we can avoid litigation, or there's some unforeseen circumstances that we're unaware of that might impact that value, we don't know yet. So we know that 5 has been settled. I would love to got this done prior to the trim notices, so it would have been a little cleaner. Circumstances did not allow that. So now we are rapidly trying to work towards getting this resolved before the bills go out in November.
Wow.
And that would be my goal, hopefully.
So it would be up to the tax collector. They're the ones that have, I'm assuming they've been holding a pot of money for these refunds. Is that correct? And they'll
I would
determine when and how much.
They will have to go
Okay,
through,
okay.
and if you've seen your trim notice, it's got
Mm-hmm.
multiple entities that have the ability to levy a tax rate against the value.
Mm-hmm.
So those entities would have to, and 50% of your bill, mostly on Pensacola Beach, is county, and the other 50% is the school. There's a little bit for school board, there's a little bit library and all that, but for the most part, it's 50-50 schools and county. I know the school board is put back in excess of around $6 million. Whether all that is due back or not, we don't know till we finish going through the evaluation process, see if the plaintiff's attorneys accept those values with the homeowners association. So we don't know where that lies yet. The county has as well has escrowed those funds to do that. We were very cautious because of some instances that happened back in the 70s when folks didn't get their money back. When we first started this process, we cautioned the county and the school board on an annual basis. First of all, this has gone on since 2004. So there has been in excess of $200 million collected for fire, police, sheriff's office, school education of our children. The portion that has to be refunded is very small, and for a very short period of time, if any. But those funds, we cautioned the taxing authorities, these lawsuits are not settled. As a precautionary measure, please know, and every year we said, here's the exposure that you would have. And I think they've been very prudent to secure those funds in case that happened, and it's the only right thing to do.
So is there a procedure for an individual to dispute a tax assessment on the beach and just in general in Escambia County?
The trim notice is that was just mailed. There's a lot of data on there and a lot of language on the backside, and a lot of people, because it says on the front, "This is not a bill, do not pay."
Right.
A lot of people take that and go throw it in their trash can. That's not a bill. I mean, it's just human nature. I urge people, when they get that trim notice, take a look at it. Make sure if you applied for exemption, it's applied to your property. Take a look at the value. If the value's wrong, pick up the phone and call my staff, call me. We want to, if we've made a mistake, we're human. We want to correct it. But we only have a short window of time. You can come in and talk to us and bring whatever data you have. We're going to show you the supporting data we have as far as sales go. And maybe you'll reveal something that we don't know about, and maybe we'll show you something you didn't know about.
Right.
But we will hope to work it out at that. If we can't work it out on an individual basis, then you have an opportunity to file a petition. The petition deadline for this year is September 4th. You can file a petition, and you have a right to be heard before a special magistrate. And it's kind of like the step before going to court. And so the magistrate will sit as an impartial judge, listen to the taxpayer's side and the evidence they present as far as value or exemption that you didn't get, that we denied maybe. And then we'll present our evidence, and that magistrate will make that decision. It does still not preclude either party, if of the losing party, to take it to circuit court. But again, you only have till September 4th to file that
Which is
petition.
coming up rapidly.
It's rapidly, yes, ma'am. So that's the procedure. Same on Pensacola Beach or the mainland. That would be the procedure they would want to do. First, I'd urge them to call us and let's see if we can, if we made a mistake, we want to fix it.
Sure, right. Well, thank you so much, Chris. Is there anything that you feel like we need to know that we don't know yet, or?
Well, there's some things that are come up in November that I think your clients, you as a professional, and every voter in Escambia County and actually the state, because it's a constitutional amendment, there's going to be two that deal with property tax. Amendment 1, Amendment 2, they're going to be the first amendments you see. One is an extending an additional homestead, and there is another one, Amendment 2, that protects all non-homesteaded property, and that's set to sunset. So it takes 60% to pass a constitutional amendment in the state of Florida. People should review those amendments, look at them, understand the impact to them, and vote their conscience. We do have a little bit of information on our website as far as FAQs, that a little Q&A session that went through, and they may find that helpful. But I think that's important for your clients. Again, that's in November.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you for bringing those up, because that is very important. That will
Certainly.
have a huge impact, just like all the court rulings have. So
Yes, ma'am.
you've got a lot going on here at your office, and I thank you
Never
so
doubt.
much for taking your
Thank you
time.
for having me.
Appreciate it, and we will do this again as new things arise.
Well, thank you. Glad to have the opportunity.
Thank you so much.